Who's your least favorite member of the band?
Oh, I don't know if I could say that one.
Can we just make sure to open the podcast with that question?
Right. That's going to be on the promo. It'll be me asking the question and then you saying, oh, well, and then it'll cut off and it'll be like, you have to listen to find out.
Great teaser.
Hello and welcome to WNC Original Music episode 112, the International Emergency episode. Very happy to have this week from the band Hustle Souls, Billy Litz and Jonathan Taylor. Hustle Souls have a new album out this week called Daydream Motel. It's a really fantastic album. It's an EP actually, but it's got a lot of songs on it. Some would call that an album. Technically, all EPs are albums, so if you'd like to discuss that more, make sure to subscribe to my other podcast called Useless Pedantry. You can find Hustle Souls at hustlesouls.com. Also, make sure to search for their new album. Again, that name is Daydream Motel, and it's available at all the streaming sites and also at hustlesouls.bandcamp.com. Lots of fun talking to Billy and Jonathan. The guys were nice enough to send some tracks from the EP, and you're going to hear some of those right now. Here is Hustle Souls.
Yeah, we believed in youth. The ones for me were the mad ones, whether we read that in a book or lived it. Pouring wine for lovers, you kissed my mouth, I kissed another. Oh, honey, did it make you tremble? Yeah, the summer nights did kill the pain. We would ride it down, then burn the page with chemicals swimming in my brain. I first said I love you. I gotta get out of my head. 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 Are all things built to change? Or can some remain the same? Are all things built to change? Or can some remain the same? No, I don't think I can take Well, I once had friends under the howling moon. Yeah, we believed in truth. We didn't know the first thing, and now it's north and south and coast to coast. We split apart, then you miss the ghost. Water drops may break the stone, but I still wake up with you. I gotta get out of my head. 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 Are all things built to change? Or can some remain the same? change.
So Built to Change, I may have even played Built to Change for you on the podcast.
I think so. Yeah.
It's pretty rare for me to have a song that I can perform solo and also perform with a band. It almost never happens, honestly. Like, it's either one or the other. But Built to Change, I put in the solo set, and it also became a staple in the Hustle Soul set as well. So that's pretty unique with it. And I think you can hear that there's a slight tint of a more rootsy Americana vibe with it than some of our other stuff, which is more soul and funk oriented. And I think that comes from, it's hybrid between my solo stuff and the band. Lyrically, the song is about, let's make sure I don't conflict with what I said in my solo thing and say it's about this. But it
will be fact checked.
Yeah, I will be fact checked by all the people out there who are keeping track of this for the records and the Smithsonian.
That's right.
But it is lyrically, it's about friends from the past and a naivety. What's the word I'm looking for?
Naivete.
Naivete.
I think that's it. I'm not even joking. I think it's naivete.
That's not a good word, but I'll trust you that it's the correct pronunciation. That naivete, I don't like it. The naivety. All right, the innocence of youth and the naivety of it, and the coming to terms with age and things that change. And there's a love story that runs through it, which is like the one rock and foundation that does not change with time, as everything else around the main character does change.
I looked it up. It's naiveness.
Naiveness?
Wait, let me try it.
I actually way prefer naiveness to naivete.
Oh, man. Hold on a second. I got to get this where you can hear it.
Naivete.
Naivete.
Naivete. So are you also like a English scholar?
No, that's the only word I know.
That's the only word? Okay.
Also, I mean, not to be a smartass, but that's French, not English.
Well, it's good at French roots, I guess. But.
Yeah. You guys have been performing this for a while then with the band. And Jonathan, do you have anything remarkable about it, or you just want to talk about it as far as performing it and your part in it or recording it?
I mean, it's always been a fun song to play. It's very rootsy, kind of American rock, and like trying to figure out how to interact with like the rest of the band has always been interesting. Like, it's not super straightforward, like 4 on the floor, like snare drum. So it takes a lot of like push and pull with the band to like sound fluid. Sound like a good song.
Jonathan, how long have you been with the band?
So I've probably been with the band for about 2 years now. I moved up to Asheville, North Carolina, I think like the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. And, we've been playing pretty much ever since I got up here. Just met at like the local jams around Asheville, North Carolina. And, it's been a good time. We've been on the road a lot. It's been interesting lately with, coronavirus coming through. We would normally be on the road for 3 or 4 days a week. And now, we've got maybe 3 or 4 gigs a year, on the books. So, it's been interesting. It's been a challenge. But, the music's a lot of fun. All the members of the band are really, friendly and nice. And, it's just about making music.
questions are hollow. A delicate day, so she never quite says what we both know. She's scared of the silence. She paces the room and I follow. I ask her what's wrong, dear. She don't say a word, and so I go. Well, that's 'cause everything breathing is changing.
Hollow is one of the songs that I think we've had the most fun playing live, which is somewhat counterintuitive because it's by far the slowest song on the album. And it's hard to work in slow songs into a set where, you know, we're showing up in a city where usually, unfortunately, most of the people have never heard of us before, have never heard our music. So you kind of got to hit them over the head with the bangers and the fast stuff and the fun stuff right off the gate to try to rope people in. But Hollow, for some reason, has been able to connect with people right away, even as a slow song. You know, it's a slow 6/8 groove, but you know, we're all over the place with the timing with it. But it leads to this like epic guitar solo, and I start spazzing out and screaming at the end of it. And it's a lot of fun to play live. We've actually seen some people like shed tears and stuff for it, and we were able to play it at some fans of ours and good friends of ours. They got married over the summer, and we got to play it for them as their first dance. And you know, that's a huge honor. So you know, some people have made connections to the song, and it just feels good for me to let loose and just like scream on top of a wailing guitar solo with no limitations. You know, it's a very empowering thing. It's kind of like ecstatic dance for my voice.
Yeah, it's really powerful, like sensitive, like ballad at the beginning, and then, you know, by the end of the song, we're all, you know, whenever we play it live, we're all like all over the place, just like letting loose, and really is like really cathartic experience, and like really feels good to play a song where you get to just like let like the emotion out. And, you know, sometimes you turn up a little bit, you play a little bit louder than you should. But I think it connects to people.
Jonathan, I have an idea I want to run by you. So you're the first bass player I've talked to since I thought of this idea, I think.
Okay.
I think sometimes a bass player should also have a bass drum, because it sounds so good sometimes when the bass, you know, like the bass drum and the bass are hitting the same. So what if you just had an extra bass drum? So once in a while, if you want to just accentuate something, the drummer still gets his bass drum. He does his thing, but also you have a little bass drum. And when you want to like really pop something, you just hit your bass drum notes at the same time that you play your bass part.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Like I always love playing on the drums whenever I can. I've been practicing a lot at home, personally, just playing on drums. We actually have like kind of a side project that we don't really play with that much anymore. But for a while, we were playing like kind of like folk Americana songs and like old jazz songs, where I'd be playing the bass, and I actually had, you know, bass drum. I was playing with the right foot, like a hi-hat or a chamber.
So I didn't think of that then. I probably you probably mentioned that somewhere and I read it. Okay.
Maybe, but you know, it's great when you can be in control of the entire rhythm section, and sometimes like the drummer needs a little bit of a prod too. So great idea.
Okay.
I totally drums being played by bass players all around the U.S. and the world.
I think I'm a little familiar with that. You guys, that was like about a year or so ago, or a little year and a half or so ago. What was the name of that project?
We were going by the name Tall Teller for that project. And we had just started like getting a couple gigs going. But then we had some work to do with Hustle Souls and the lineup change. And that ended up taking up all of our extra rehearsal time.
Yeah.
And, you know, by the time that stabilized and we would have theoretically been ready to get a side project going again, COVID came, and, you know, then the rest is history from there. Yeah. So, but someday it's going to be a thing again.
Maybe if I was a little bit bolder, maybe you would let me in. If I could just get a little bit closer, maybe you would hear me then. And if you knew the thoughts I thought and whispered, maybe you would understand. If I could just keep myself together, maybe I would have a chance. Maybe if I sang a little bit sweeter, this melody would get a little bit closer, maybe you would hear me then. And if you know the thoughts I thought and whispered, maybe you would understand if I could just to keep my shit together.
Just want to say hello. I was really proud of that song for a strange reason, is that when I write, and this is a songwriting, or well, I don't know if it's a songwriting podcast, but it's in some ways it is. It's original music, so it,
it's about songwriting.
I think you can call it a songwriting podcast. I never write songs that. Well, I don't know if it's about just what category. How far are we going to subdivide the categories of podcasts? Exactly. But
it's also a unsolved mystery podcast, but mostly songwriting.
The mystery of what the hell am I going to actually say when I get a sentence out?
Right.
So I was proud of myself for that song, because my general songwriting approach, I start with a cool idea for a verse, and then it's what changes for the bridge, and then what changes for the chorus. And I've written hundreds of songs, maybe up close to 200 or 300 songs, and I've never written a song that does the same chord progression the whole time. I've written many 3-chord country songs where I switch the order up for the chorus. It's the same chords all the time, but in Just Want to Stay Low, we do the same exact chord progression the whole time. And that's a music nerdy thing that nobody will care about.
Yeah.
Should care about. But for me, it was a nice, I pat myself on the back of like, it came together and it sounds like a full song, and we don't go all over the map. It starts, it builds, it climaxes, and then it moves on. And I repeated the same 3 chords the whole time. So I was proud of myself for that.
That's a good way to make sure you don't forget the chords.
And it honestly makes a lot of things much more difficult in the end, because if the chord progression tells you a lot of information, it's really obvious what you should do here. The drummer should get bigger here, and the bass player should hit this note here. When it's the same thing the whole time and all that changes is the vocal melody, it puts a lot of pressure on the band arrangement to make it interesting without relying on the chords to just do the work for you. So we actually, as I was really excited about it, because I was like, look, I wrote this really simple song. We can learn this in a day. We can be gigging it by this weekend. And it ended up taking us like 3 months to actually, at least 3 months, to get a version of it that we felt like was actually finished. So kind of counterintuitive, but the simpler it is, sometimes the more difficult it actually is to make sound good.
Speaking of that, where did you record the album?
So we did it. Ryan Earnhardt is an engineer, and he runs a studio, and he has a really popular YouTube channel, Creative Sound Lab, where he demonstrates a lot of recording gear and recording techniques. And he's got a big following worldwide, and he's based in Canton. And you would never know that there's a recording studio there where he is. But we went out to Canton, North Carolina, where he is. He's got a small studio, and it's mostly he does a lot of video work there for YouTube. He does a lot of demonstration. But he partners a lot with our producer, Eric Mixerman, Sarafin, and they work together on this project. They filmed the recording process while we were in the middle of it, and we didn't really pay attention to it. They set up cameras. He always has cameras set up there. They hit record and just let it run. But they filmed the process and later went back and just actually released online. You can pay, I think it's only like $18, but you can watch the recording and the mixing process. And our producer is a somewhat well-known mixing educator. He writes books under the name Mixerman. So people can sign up for the course and hear why he made choices on the mix and how he did it. And then there is also an element where whoever purchases the course gets access to the raw tracks to our recording session, so they can do a mix. themselves and compare it to Mixerman's mix. And so that's why we use that studio, because we have a relationship with Ryan and Eric, and we were able to give them some material for them to use in their other world while we got to make an album for our world.
That's a cool idea. So will these, like if somebody does that, will that be available somewhere? If you might put up, hey, listen to this different mix of this song, that sort of thing.
So they're not supposed to release it commercially, but I said the worst case scenario, they put it out and we get rich and famous off of it. So I'm not too worried about it because we just want people to listen to the music. But as of now, there's not a place where you can listen to other people's mixes. But they just released the course in the past 2 weeks, so I'm going to check in with Ryan and Eric in about a month and see if they have any mixes that are worth listening to.
I'm going to sign up for it so I can mix. I'm going to do a dance mix and incorporate parts of the podcast interview.
There you make
it be all kinds of integration.
That's taking the third level.
And Eric. Sarafin, he also does a lot of like you said, he writes books, but he does presentations, a lot of teaching on production too, right?
Yeah, so he was a producer and an engineer and a mixer in LA for a long time, working for major labels, lots of bands that Ben Harper and Bare Naked Ladies and all kinds of bands. And he got really well known early, this is early blog days on the internet, before, I don't even know if blogs were really a common word at the time. And he started to release the Daily Adventures of Mixerman, which was a satire fictional story about the recording process with a major label studio in LA. And it went viral before things went viral, and he got lots of readers on there, and has since published a bunch of books on Zen and the art of mixing. And recently, I gotta think of the name of it. I usually keep a copy of it over here.
Survival Guide?
Yeah, The Musician's Survival Guide to a Killer Record is his most recent book. But they're really amazing. I mean, he's a funny writer. He's a very accessible writer, and it's some of the most nerdy, dry content in the world, talking about how to EQ a bass drum and phasing issues and stuff. It's science and physics, and it's not fun. But he turns it into a funny, tangible product that you can kind of, you read the books and it starts to bring it to life, and you do understand, why the science turns into art, in the end. And that, I think that's his main goal is, he's an artist, but his books are really successful. And if you're at all interested in recording as a hobbyist or a professional recordist, there's so much good information, especially the Survival Guide to a Killer Record for home recording is it's always sitting right next to my computer and my mixer whenever I'm doing my attempts at home recording.
More from Hustle Souls in just a few moments, and I want to remind you to go download their album. That's at hustlesouls.bandcamp.com. We'll have links in the show notes for that, and also you can search Hustle Souls at Apple Music or Spotify or I believe on just about any streaming service. They also have some good videos, so make sure to go to hustlesouls.com, but also follow them on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of interesting videos, and they just did a live stream, which is really good, really well produced, and we've got a sample video from that on the WNC Original Music Facebook page, but you can see the whole thing, which is really cool, on the Hustle Souls Facebook page. Speaking of the WNC Original Music Facebook page, go and follow that page, and also subscribe to the podcast WNC Original Music wherever you get your podcast. You can go to WNCOriginalmusic.com, and there will be links there to listen to the podcast, and also other places where you can listen to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. Follow the podcast on Instagram. There's links to that in the show notes as well for upcoming events, not events, just podcast episodes, but also video clips and pictures and stuff from the podcast. And then a whole lot of just irrelevant stuff that I put up there when I'm bored.
Hey, this is Alex, the most important member of Modern Strangers, and you are listening to WNC Original Music.
Well, there's no change in Montana. She's a woman knows her needs. You better give her what she wants so she never begs and pleads. Yeah, women come and women go. That's what makes this world go round. If you ever lose Montana, boy, you never live it down. No, you won't forget Montana once the shot's been seen. You see, her eyes are made of diamonds and her heart is made of dreams. Yeah, women come and women go, but please do heed my sound. If you ever see Montana, boy, you better turn yourself around. She run it dry, she run it dry. Don't even try, don't even try. She run it dry, she run it dry. Don't even try, don't even try. Well, she's meaner than the police, and she is slyer than a cat. She'll make you buy her flowers, and she will run off with your cash. Yeah, women come and women go, but this one's not the same. If you fall down for Montana, boy, you won't have me to blame. She run it dry, she run it dry. Don't even try, don't even try. She run it dry, she run it dry. You lose your mind, don't even try. Don't say I didn't want you. Don't come crying to me. You see, a kiss is full of venom, and the touch will make you bleed. Oh, women come and women go. That's how it will always be. But if I ever see Montana again, you know I beg her back from me. She run you dry, she run you dry. Don't even try, don't even try. She run you dry, she run you dry.
Montana is a very fun, very lively, kind of New Orleans feeling song about, woman that's no good for you, but you can't get away from. Really, it's one of the most fun songs to play live because it always gets a response from, the audience. I think people really enjoy that song.
Do you sing on the live or on the album much, John?
Yeah, I do a lot of singing live. A lot of the album backings are going to be me and Kevin Scott, who's the drummer of the band. And, we've got a little bit of Eric Sarafin in there, too, throwing in some vocals and some clap tracks. And then Christopher Everett, who plays guitar, is on there as well. But, live is always a challenge playing bass and singing together. Something I'm getting more and more comfortable with as we play more and more.
We've got John's going to be singing. If we ever get another show someday in the future, John is singing lead vocals on some stuff now too. So we're excited about that. We just got to find, we've been working on a lot of new material since we finished recording this, and some of that is John's, and he's singing it. So I'm excited about that, but it's all just only in the basement right now.
How large is your what's the word? Repertoire? Let me look it up.
Repertoire.
Yeah, repertoire.
Our repertoire.
How many songs do you have? If I want to say, hey, I'm having a festival, I want you to play as long as you can. How many songs can you play, and for how long?
I mean, we can play for hours upon hours.
No repeats.
With no repeats, yeah. I mean, we can crank out a 4-hour show easily. But as we add stuff, we cut stuff, so we halfway know some of our older songs, but we're generally looking forward to new songs and keeping the few songs that stand the test of time. And, it's proven that even the songs that we love and that we think are going to be the hits that last forever, they fade away. So, when we play a typical, a set could be anywhere from 10 songs to 40 songs, depending on if you want us to play all night long at a festival. If I could say about Montana, basically, it started as a riff, and I actually think, I don't know if John knows this at all, I'm just thinking of this now, is that we were hanging out a long time ago at Ledges River Park in North Asheville on the river, and I was noodling around with this idea, and it was just a rhythm, like in a pentatonic. I thought it had this like New Orleans vibe to it, but it was way out of my songwriting comfort zone, and I didn't know what to do with it or if I should do anything. It's hard for me to judge if it was good or not because it was just a riff. And then I got another riff to it, but I was never planning on bringing it to the band at all as a song, because I always have a bunch of songs stockpiled and I'm choosing what to like try with the band. But I was just messing around with it at a rehearsal when in between things that we were doing, and everybody was like, "What's that?" And we grooved on it for a little bit, and it turned into the song that it is, like really organically and really quickly. Our songwriting process is usually an arranging process is really long. We can take months to like hammer out the exact arrangement we want on a song. And I think we were performing Montana at the Asheville Music Hall like 2 weeks later, or a week and a half later. We were just really confident and it worked really naturally. So yeah. So Only Want Some Answers, that's what we're putting out on Thursday, but I know I'm not supposed to talk about time on a podcast.
That's what you will have put out.
That's what we will have put out on Thursday. That's the second single off of Daydream Motel, Montana being the first. And Only Want Some Answers is one of our our faster, more upbeat songs. In our music, we often reference 60s and 70s soul music and funk music. On this one, we kind of lean into the Bee Gees vibe, or I was honestly thinking of kind of Earth, Wind, and Fire when I first came up with the idea. So it's a bit of a disco song for the verses, and it's a fun disco song.
Can you talk a little bit about just like a one paragraph history of the band forming your band, not the Bee Gees?
You sure you don't want my history of the Bee Gees?
Yeah. I mean, I just saw the movie, so I already know it. Yeah.
Oh, you already know it.
Yeah. Well, let me just hear what do you think happened with the Bee Gees? How do you think they started? Can you name all four of them, three of them?
I could barely pick them out of a lineup, especially if they're not in their costumes, wearing white suits.
Yeah.
I'm not a music historian, and I'm not a Bee Gees historian either. I just was listening to a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire at the time, and I like to sing in a falsetto voice. And so the Bee Gees, that's what everybody says when they hear that song. And I get it, I totally understand it. And we reference that it's disco turning into pop music, which is coming from soul music. It's all intertwined in there. But I don't know the first thing about the Bee Gees' actual history.
Well, just give me Hustle Soul's history then.
I'm not good at speaking in single paragraphs, but I'll try to give the short version. Hustle Souls, I started with Chris Everett, who's the guitar player currently. A few years back, we recorded our first real album with a bass player and drummer who we don't have with us. Eric Sarafin was our producer on that album. That was called Color, and the journey to making that album, we were basically a basement band turned into a bar band who started to do a little bit of touring and play on a couple real stages and figure out how to be a concert act. Then we had a lineup change the past 2 years and have been defining our sound and centering it and working in the new personalities and new musicians into the band. And so this is kind of our reintroduction as a band with Daydream Motel. That just shows, I think we're a much more mature band. We played hundreds of more shows and figured out what connects with people and what we connect to a lot more on this album. Our real biography is we're a little band from Asheville, North Carolina, and we try our damnedest to make good music. We used to tour on the weekends, and now we just...
What's the longest tour you've ever been on? You've been on some longer tours than weekends, right?
Yeah, we used to do, every couple months we'd do 2 weeks or so. We'd go all the way up to Boston and Rhode Island and way up north. And we'd get down south too. We never did a full month or anything like that. We just don't have the infrastructure for it. And our van is way too uncomfortable. But we put in 2.5 weeks a couple times. Yeah.
How do you want people to listen to your music? What's your preferred way? Spotify, where they stream it, or go to Bandcamp, download it, or, your website or CDs or what?
Well, the first way would be to listen to it via WNC Original Music podcast.
Yes.
That is the preferred way.
That's correct.
But after that, we love seeing people at shows. We want them there. If you want to get a copy of the album, Bandcamp you can download directly, and you can also order a CD, so we can mail you a CD and you can download one immediately. But if you've got Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, we're trying to get the music out there right now. So however you like listening to music is just all right with us.
And you guys are a great live band. Have you ever thought about doing a whole live album?
I've thought about it a lot, but
Yeah.
we've never done it. I'm wondering if we should do a live album after this one. I'm not making a pledge or a promise right now, but we have a lot of new material in the works, and I don't know, maybe we missed the boat on a live album. It could be like a decade from now before we're allowed to put on a concert again. You know,
that's true.
because there's an energy to a live show that, you know, you can't fake it in a live in studio, which is honestly what a lot of this album is, basically live in studio. I think that there's an element to our sound that would be great. And some songs that we play all the time that we've never put out on a CD that would come to life on a live album. So we want to do it. And maybe that'll be the next thing that we do. Yeah. But we got to have live shows for that to be even in the cards.
Then it comes back again. It's you. Spin around in my head and I see your face clear as the day that I left you. It's true. I tried to forget you, and who can blame me? Who can blame me? When I've been gone for a minute, I got lost for a minute, but I won't be wrong. No, I won't be wrong. Which way I go, but I'm coming home. Yeah, I don't know which way I will go, but baby, I'm coming home. Strange how I felt in the morning as I sat there lost in my thoughts. I swear I saw you. Well, John says you won't take me back, I guess. That I could have predicted that this could break. This might break. Yeah, I've been gone for a minute. I got lost for a minute, but I won't be long. No, I won't be long. Yeah, I don't know which way I will go, but I'm coming home. Yeah, I've been gone for a minute, and I just wanna say, oh, I miss you, baby.
Which Way is a song that I think leans in toward somewhat, honestly, like a little bit like of a gospel music reference in the keyboard part, and also like the outro. We kind of lean into that vibe musically with the harmonic progression. It's kind of our maybe our most produced song on the album, the most modern sounding song on the album. We've got synth pads like under it, and we put lots of effects on the guitar, where a lot of our other stuff is referencing much earlier music. I think that we were referencing a somewhat more modern sound on Which Way. We got John singing much differently on that one. Like if you ever do listen to it closely enough, the harmony vocals on that one, to someone who knows John's voice, does not sound like John. He was kind of doing like a strange vocal contortion, distortion to himself while singing it, and we were like, "Oh, you got to do that and lean into that," and that's what we recorded and ended up using on the recording.
Can I get a clip of like just that isolated vocal? I'll insert it as a sample, as an example right now.
I can try. Not super easy. It's I'm changing. Like very, was it like James Bond?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but much better than I.
I like the face contortion that goes with the voice contortion.
There's no way to do a contortion like that without it's like the guitar face. People photoshopping in slugs, and you got John Mayer.
Did you guys have any musical impersonations? Eddie Vedder is not allowed because everybody does the Eddie Vedder impression.
We literally just talked about this, and we're like, dude, I don't know what we can do. And he was like, I could do Eddie Vedder.
You can do Eddie Vedder. You can do Eddie Vedder. I'm giving you a hard time.
Ready for this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you
very much.
That was great.
Man, that
was Eddie Vedder passing a kidney stone.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. I could even send you a recording of this, but I've done 2 songs where like I really wish that I wasn't myself and I wanted to be Tom Waits, and I really tried to sing like him. But so I could send you some of those songs, but come on up to the house. Oh, that's pretty bad. But there's my Tom Waits right there.
That was good. Yeah.
Come on up the house.
That's very good. Yeah.
There you go.
I'd like to thank Tom Waits and Billy and Jonathan from Hustle Souls for being on the podcast. Make sure again to check out Hustle Souls' new albums called Daydream Motel. It's available at hustlesouls.bandcamp.com or hustlesouls.com, or search for Daydream Motel or Hustle Souls wherever you get your streaming music. Also, Hustle Souls puts on a fantastic live show, and so go out and see them as soon as you can. Follow them on social media so you know when that happens. Also, their lead singer, Billy Litz, is already playing live shows as Kid Billy, so find Kid Billy on Facebook and follow him there. Our closing song tonight comes from Jay Rome. He's a singer-songwriter from Jackson, Mississippi, my hometown. I chose this song especially for this episode because I feel like his vocals really match with the Hustle Soul feel. It's not exactly the same, you know, they don't sound exactly alike, but I just like the feel of both Jay Rome's song and the new album from Hustle Souls. You can find more about him at callmejrome.com. You can find that address in the show notes. Here is Jay Rome. Have a good week.
Maybe 24 hours ain't enough time to properly love you. But as long as you're with me, it don't really matter at all. I'll take every second just to prove I'm the one for your heart. Oh, My mission is to give you what you need for life. Oh, oh, 'cause I want you forever. Ain't nothing like forever. Let's do this till the sun or the moon comes falling from the sky. Yes, I want you forever. Ain't nothing like forever. Let's do this till the sun or the moon comes falling from the sky. Hey, baby, nobody compares to you. No, 'cause you got that love that will last forever. Hey, baby, there will never be, ever be, ever be, ever be, ever be, ever be no one like you. Even if we had to do this all over, baby, I still choose you. I want you forever. Ain't nothing like forever. Ain't nothing like forever, baby. The sun or the moon comes falling from the sky. Girl, I want you forever. Ain't nothing like forever. Even if the sun gets falling down, the sun or the moon comes falling from the sky. I still be loving you, no matter where I go, who I meet. You will always be the only one I need. No matter what they say, what they do, they can only try, but can't come close to you. I want you forever. Girl, what we have, nothing like forever. I can feel it in my soul. Till the sun or the moon comes, and it feels so good. Can we do this forever? I want you forever. I want you forever. Let's do this till the sun or the moon comes falling from the sky.
You lost me, Ron.